You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.
Essential workers, thank you for joining me today. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, I thank you for spending your time with me. If you're listening to the restream of the podcast on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like and comment on the podcast. New podcasts will air pretty much twice a week, normally Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I'm a little behind on this one. You know how we are around here. It is what it is sometimes. But anyway, please feel free to share the podcast on any of your social media outlets that you use. I won't take much of your time. Let's get into it. So this is podcast number 14. Again, thank you for joining me on this Friday. What's today's date? April the 23rd, I believe. 23rd? Is it 24th? I'm sorry, April 24th. My brother has a birthday coming up in 2 days, so I gotta shout him out. Happy birthday, Brooks. I know you got a B-day coming up in 2 days. Where do we start? All things Atlanta. Let's do it. Well, nothing much going on besides the governor, Brian Kemp. He is going to open the state back up today after closing a lot of businesses and pretty much shutting the state down due to the COVID-19 situation. He is opening things back up, such as salons, barbershops, gyms now. People are criticizing him about it. I understand it. I get it. But I like to be real, and that's what I'm going to do here in this situation. Now, my job, I work 2 jobs, outside of this podcast thing that I'm doing, and they didn't shut down. I can even tell you that one of my jobs did not pass out any protective mask for its employees, and the company that I work for is a big nationwide company. And you think that they will supply its employees with, certain things like that, but to no avail. That is not what happened. And since I still have to go to work, I'm out traveling to work, driving to and from work. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen a shutdown. I haven't seen a shutdown for real. It's just like people are off and living life as normal. I mean, you have your select few, I guess, that will sit home and they'll wait things out. I talked about it with some family members of mine, and my sister, she told me she's going to sit home and she's going to wait and see what happens. She's not going out. And my brother says that he doesn't understand why the governor is going to open the state of Georgia back up, allowing businesses to resume. And there are some businesses that have said that they will not open up, they'll wait. But then there are some that will open up. They have come out and said they will open up, because at the end of the day, you might not like what I'm about to say, but it's about money. Money makes the world go round, And you had some idiot politician in Texas, I think it was Texas, and he came out and said there are more important things than living. Wow. Wow. All about the almighty dollar. I mean, look at the mayor in Vegas, you know. They want to open up. It's money, you know. Money, the root of all evil. The world was built on corruption and money, you know. So, like I said, I'll be honest. I haven't, Georgia shut down, supposedly shut down. I haven't seen it. It, you know, traffic is eased up, but other than that, I'm still seeing people out, you know. And I look, my girlfriend is even going out. Okay, she can't sit down to save her life, and she's pretty much been that way. She just can't sit still. She has to do something, So even though they say the state is shut down, people are still going out doing what they're doing. I can't tell another adult human what to do and how to do it. Just hopefully people will stay safe out there. I know people are, they like, Georgia, what are you doing? What are you doing, Kim? Why? Why would you open the state back up? But like I said in one of my previous podcasts, I went down to Dave Cheesesteaks to get a cheesesteak, to try one of their Philly cheesesteaks before I went to work. And I went downtown thinking this would be the perfect time because pretty much all government officials, their offices were pretty much shut down. So nothing was going on in downtown Atlanta. So I thought. So I go downtown to pick up my sandwich. I ordered it so that way I can just pass through because it's on my way to work. And I was going to curbside park. You can park curbside and go in and get my sandwich and be out. And that was not the case. It looked like an Atlanta Falcons game was going on down there. I kid you not. So, my opinion, honestly, I know some people are going to say, oh, well, that's just stupid. Why would you open the state back up? Look, here in Georgia, the state never really closed, honestly. You just had your gyms and your salons and your barbershops, they closed. Because I thought fast food should have closed. I don't think fast food is an essential thing. You have supermarkets, so you can go and buy your groceries and you can cook at home. Because these people are still coming in contact with you in the drive-thru. They don't know who you are. They're putting their lives at risk. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a regular citizen. So get ready. Georgia opens up today. So, yeah. That's it for all things Atlanta. But, normally I take a break after this, but I'm going to keep this thing going. So, this big story of the week. Well, before I go into this story, I wanted to say something. So, it was brought to my attention by one of my buddies in a previous podcast when I was talking about, I believe I was talking about the Hall of Fame. And somewhere along me talking about that, I mentioned Christian Laettner being the best college basketball player of all time. And I totally forgot about this person. And it's funny how a chain of events happens in life, and it makes you think about certain things like, oh, I was just talking about that the other day and someone else said something. So it was brought to my attention that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a basketball player that a lot of us forget. And I was told that he is the best college basketball player of all time. And I must admit that I omitted him. I forgot all about Kareem. But Christian Laettner still is a top 5, top 3, I'll say top 3 college basketball player of all time. But I frequent YouTube quite a bit. and I don't watch much television except for a couple of shows here and there. So on YouTube, which is what I watch quite a bit, there's a guy, I'm pretty sure some of you have heard this name, Vlad TV, and he interviews certain rappers, celebrities, uh, and he was talking to Aries Spears. And for those of you that don't remember who that is, he used to be regular on Mad TV in the 90s, for those of you that remember that television show. So they were talking about, and this was like 2 days ago when I saw this, and they were talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Michael Jordan, who was the best, going by championships. And they were saying how, well, you can't just go by championships, because if that's the case, then Bill Russell is the best, or you can say Robert Orr if he has more rings. But they got on Kareem, and Aries Spears was pretty much like, yeah, Kareem is not the best of all time. Kareem has the credentials, but his impact didn't change the game like a Michael Jordan. And maybe that's why I kind of omitted him when thinking about the best college basketball player of all time. You go back and you look at Kareem, and I can't really just say this about Kareem, but a lot of guys had like a boring game back then. Kareem was one of them. I know he had the sky hook, but shit, that was pretty much it. And in college, he came in a time when he was bigger than everybody. So, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I give Kareem his props. A lot of people, they feel he's the best college player of all time. And, so be it. But I made a mistake, apparently, because I admit I did omit him. I totally forgot about him. But Christian Laettner is right there. I mean, you can easily say number 2. And I might feel that way because that's what I saw. I didn't see Kareem play college, obviously, given my age. I'm not even 40 years old. I'm close to it. I'm close to 40. Not 40 yet. But, yeah, so I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. But, the big news story of the week has been pretty much the Last Dance documentary that aired Sunday. They aired 2 episodes. And I wanted to get into that. There were different things going on within the first 2 episodes that made for good TV. I enjoyed the documentary. I love a good good sports documentary. I thought the Dream Team documentary was one of the better documentaries as far as sports goes. I enjoyed it. I just watched that documentary again last week. I love watching the Dream Team documentary. But let's talk about this Last Dance. So it's pretty much everybody versus Jerry Krause and Jerry Reinsdorf. That's pretty much what the documentary has been so far in. So it starts off with Phil Jackson being called into Jerry Krause's office, who was the general manager at the time of the Chicago Bulls. Now, unfortunately, Jerry Krause, he has passed away, so I don't know if he is going to be speaking in this documentary, if they got any footage of him before passing. But it starts off with him telling Phil Jackson, I don't care if you go 82-0, I am not bringing you back to coach this team the following season. Now, this is in 1990, the 97-98 season. Why? That's the question everyone wants to know. Why? Now, to me, he comes off as one of those guys that has that, and I'm speaking about Krause here, Jerry Krause, the GM. He comes off as one of those guys who has that little man syndrome. He's but he is overweight. And Look, you can clearly see that he's bothered that he does not get the credit for building that team, and you can see it bothers him. Now, I knew this from reading, other books about the Bulls in the '90s and Jerry Krause when he drafted Tony Kukoc. A lot of people don't know that Tony Kukoc could have 6 rings, but he was playing in Croatia when the Bulls went on that first three championship run, the first three-peat, and he didn't come over, and that rubbed Scotty and Michael the wrong way. They didn't like it. They were in contract disputes back then. And people forget, he wouldn't pay Pippen before Pippen got his deal because he was saving money to bring Kukoc over. So this goes way back. And I don't think that it's just so much as Krouse being I don't think it's so much as Krouse being that, I don't know. I don't know what to say about Jerry Krause. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about Jerry Krause, but I don't think it was so much that Krouse wanted the credit as far as that goes. I think that the Bulls were just cheap. They were just cheap. You got to remember the NBA players weren't making what they're making now back then. You have to remember that. Now, I don't know if you guys remember a guy by the name of John Koncak, who played for the Atlanta Hawks. John Koncak was making more money than Michael Jordan. That is absurd. But Krause had the little man syndrome, and I will give him his credit. He put that team together outside of Michael Jordan, because remember, he didn't draft Jordan. Thorne drafted him. But outside of that, Jerry Krause put that team together. So I will give him his respect to that. And you know what? I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame as an executive, but I think he should be. Hey, look, what's due is due. And Krause did his job. He bought championships to the city of Chicago. Now, what sucks is he hated Phil so bad that Phil Jackson went to go win 5 more championship rings with the LA Lakers. Bulls were never the same after that. They just weren't. I don't know how you break that team up. So Tim Floyd recently came out and just said that he wanted to break that team up before that. I think he wanted to break that team up after the 4th championship ring. And Tim Floyd basically told him no. I don't know what his obsession with Tim Floyd was, because he might have been a good college coach, but he definitely was not cut out to be a pro head coach. But I just think it's silly that Krause let his ego get in the way and ran Phil Jackson out of Chicago. So imagine if Phil doesn't go anywhere. What happens with that Lakers team? Do they learn how to win? Because, Shaq has come out and said that Phil is pretty much the reason why him and Kobe won. He said that he had talks with Phil. He said some of the same talks that Phil had told Michael Jordan, some things that he needed to do and cut down on the outside stuff off the floor and focus on what's going on between the white lines. on that basketball floor. So I don't know. Well, I do know Krouse, let his ego get in the way. He had the little man syndrome. It is what it is. He had the little man syndrome. He didn't get the respect he felt he deserved, and told Phil, "Hey, you're out of here after this year." Now, moving on to the Scottie Pippen side. The Scottie Pippen side was the second episode, and if you haven't seen the second part of the documentary, Scottie Pippen's brother looks just like him. I mean, he's just a more darker version of him, but he looks just like him and sounds like him. I mean, those guys are twins, but I here's where it kind of conflicts me a little bit, because you have Krouse, who played Scottie. He played the mess out of Scottie. He did. Scottie was this country kid from Arkansas. He came from a poor family, and he's pretty much the guy who has to save the day and save the family, being that now he's an NBA pro. Now he's up for his first real big deal, and he wants financial security, which were his words. So Krouse kind of took advantage of that. He did take advantage of it, but Scottie signed the deal, and this is where you have to have somebody in your corner telling you, "Hey, don't do it." The deal was so bad that the owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, told Scottie, "Don't sign the deal. It's a bad deal. It's a bad contract." He told him, "Now, if you get hurt, I still have to pay you this $18 million on this deal that's on the table. So on the flip side, if you outperform this contract, don't come back to me." Now, he told Scottie, "Don't sign it." And it sucks. I can't put too much on Krouse, because that's one of those things where you got to be on your P's and Q's, man. I mean, I don't know who his agent was at the time. I don't know who he had helping him with deals back then. But $18 million over 7 years for a player of Scottie Pippen's ability is a travesty. It is a joke. And Krouse got over on him. Krouse got him. He got him. He got him locked down. Got him locked on a contract. You can't go anywhere. Nothing. Now, again, it got bad. Now, once it got toward the end of the deal, Scottie needed surgery on his ankle. I believe it was a tendon. And now his words in the documentary was that he needed surgery. He said, "I needed surgery, but I wasn't going to let that F up my summer. So I waited until the season started." Hey, didn't Kyrie Irving pull that move? Kyrie Irving pulled that move to get out of Cleveland. Don't forget that. Kyrie needed surgery. And he's told the Cavaliers, "If you do not trade me, I will wait until the season starts and I will get surgery then. And that means I will be out for the season." I believe it was going to be for the season. And Cavs got scared and they ended up trading him. Now, Krouse didn't do that. He just told Scottie pretty much, "Well, we'll just wait till you heal." Now, Michael Jordan thought he was being selfish. And I get where he's coming from. I had a disagreement with one of my boys on Michael Jordan's stance. And I think that they understood where Scotty's teammates, I think they understood where Scotty was coming from, where he says, if they don't want to extend me, then, you know, I'm just going to have my surgery at the beginning of the season to sit out. And I'm not going to jeopardize my body and my career, on making what was it, 2 point something million, and I'll get my money next year. That's pretty much how Scotty was looking at it. And Jordan in the documentary said that he thought Scotty was being selfish. And me being a Jordan fan, I'll admit it, I'm a Jordan homer. I came to my homeboy and I told him, well, maybe that's not what Jordan meant. Maybe he was saying that he was disappointed in him, and I don't even know what I was trying to say. But and my boy was right though. He was right. He said Jordan said what he felt, and my boy was on Scotty's side. Look, I totally get it, and to a degree, I'm on Scotty's side too. If we were in that same situation, we probably would have done the same thing. But Michael Jordan, what I'm saying is, the fact that he had made only, pennies himself, you call making millions of dollars pennies, but on the NBA scale, $2 to $4 million to $6 million a year, look, you come to work. You should have gotten the surgery in the off season, and you come to work, you sign the deal, you deal with it. Now, let's be honest. Scotty wasn't hurting. Remember, Scotty had a Nike deal. So Scotty wasn't hurting for money. What happened was you got two egos that came clashing together with Krouse and Scotty. Krouse saying, look, you signed the deal, you're going to play the contract out. Reinsdorf told him, if you outperform that contract years earlier, don't come to me, because I told you not to sign it. And then you have Scotty's ego. Well, I'm I'm one of the best all-around players in the league, and you're not going to pay me. So I kind of give this round to Krouse. I know. Is that bad? Is that bad that I'm in Krause's side on this one? At the end of the day, you're responsible for yourself. You signed the deal. Okay? You signed the deal, Scotty. Fulfill the contract. I get where players are coming from this when they say, hey, I need a new deal. I don't want to jeopardize my body, my health, my career for this little amount. I'm not being compensated fairly. But that's something you have to think about early on. But where Scotty goes on his part of the documentary, I am on Jerry Krause's side. And Draymond Green decided to come in and react. Draymond Green's been talking a lot lately. I kind of wish he would shut up. I'm starting to feel the same as Charles Barkley. Just someone tell Draymond to shut up. So he spoke about it and said that he doesn't see how Michael Jordan and Scotty were boys, but he wasn't in Scotty's corner. And, he should have taken less money, and money should have been given to Scotty. I don't think Draymond knows how this works, which is odd because he is an NBA player himself. So, first of all, someone should have told Draymond, you never get in another grown man's pockets. Ever. You stay out of a grown man's pockets. You worry about your pockets. You don't worry about the next man's pockets. I don't care how much money, how much more money you're making than that next man. Get your hand in my pocket. Okay? And look, Jordan didn't get paid until his last 2 years in Chicago, and they were 1 year deals. So Krouse wasn't going to extend Scottie for 2 years. He wasn't going to tell Scottie, okay, I'll give you $15 million. If Mike gives me $15 million of those last 2 years, I'll give you 15 for those 2 years. That wasn't going to happen. That's not how contracts work in leagues. I do know you have some players, especially in football, some players will give some money back so the team can go out and they can sign other guys. But that's not how it works most times. 9 times out of 10, that's not how it works. Especially when you have a guy who's only signing, like Michael Jordan was only signing 1-year deals. Look, Mike took care of himself. He took care of the money. He secured the bag, as everyone says nowadays. He secured the bag. I can't get mad at him. I can't get mad at another man for getting his money. You stay out of another man's pockets. I'm very surprised that Draymond Green would say that about Michael Jordan not being, about being boys with him and didn't look out for him and tell the organization, well, I'm gonna take X amount, you give the other amount to Scottie, because remember, it's come out now, and I heard this before. Tracy McGrady always talks about this for some reason, like that's his claim to fame. That he was going to be traded for Scottie Pippen when he was in Toronto, and Jordan nixed the deal. Yeah. If you do not believe me, go and look it up. Look up anything with Tracy McGrady. Just type it in Google or YouTube, and just look up McGrady and Pippen trade. He talks about it all the time, every chance he gets. So the Bulls weren't going to bring Scottie back. It is what it is. The Bulls were a cheap organization. They weren't bringing him back, and I just hate that Draymond Green is. Well, I don't hate. I disagree with his argument. Get your hand in my pockets. That's all I gotta say. And, yeah, I need someone to tell Scottie Pippen's ex-wife to also have a seat, please. Some people love injecting themselves into situations that no one called for them to be in. So she went on to Twitter defending Scottie, saying that, Scottie he did all right. He made more money than Michael Jordan, which he did. Scottie got his money once he went to Portland. Well, Houston first. He played there for 1 year. Then he said, I got to get the hell up out of here with Charles Barkley. I'll never win anything here. But he got up out of there, and he made all his money. And Larsa Pippen, his ex-wife, who is pretty much known now as the wife who cheated on Scottie with the rapper Future. And everyone on Twitter and whatever other website let her know about that. Look it up. It's some funny stuff. It is some funny stuff. Some women just need attention. They just want attention. Look, the documentary mentioned nothing about Scottie Pippen being married, nothing about his kids. This is strictly basketball related. Larsa Pippen, please have a seat. No one asks for you to come and defend Scottie. He doesn't need to be defended. Okay, we all we know what happened. We know he made his money eventually, but Larsa, have a seat, please. But all right, so I also saw a teaser for the next episode of the documentary, which will air again on Sunday. Now, there's a situation where Carmen Electra, she's married to Dennis Rodman at this time. And it was something about Rodman wanting to go on a vacation. And Jordan, I believe, said they had to go get Rodman out of his bed or something. So they go up to wherever he's at, and they knock on the door, and Carmen Electra is hiding behind a sofa. She doesn't want Michael Jordan to see her the way she is. And so the Dennis Rodman story, his part of things is going to be one heck of a ride. So I will be sure to check that out on Sunday. And also, uh, like I said, The Last Dance has been all over the place this week. That's all everyone's talking about. It's about The Last Dance. So Chauncey Billups came out and he asked, uh, why is The Last Dance brought on so much unwarranted and unnecessary hate on one King James, LeBron James? He says, why can't people enjoy the greatness of both guys? I think MJ is the GOAT, but King James is on Mount Rushmore. Easy. Now, I agree with pretty much everything he said. Now, there's no need to hate LeBron, but I do love the fact that the kids today, they're getting to see who Michael Jordan was in his heyday with the Bulls. I saw Jordan with the Bulls. You know, you have a lot of kids that saw Jordan with the Wizards, and then you have a lot of kids that never seen Jordan play at all. All they know is that he sells shoes, and he's a crappy owner for the Charlotte Hornets. That's it. That's all they know. Now, my girlfriend, which is, I have a bone to pick with only children. When you're an only child, you miss out on so much because you are spoiled and you get your way. So you don't have to suffer through whatever the older siblings want to watch. Now, I am the oldest. I made my brothers and sisters watch what I want to watch. We're not going to watch what you watch. But my girlfriend is she's one of those people. Now, she's 30, but she didn't see Bulls Jordan. She saw Wizard Jordan. So that's the only Michael Jordan that she knows. You know, she makes fun of me when I look at old Jordan clips or whatever on YouTube. But I agree with Chauncey Billups. Look, LeBron James will go down as one of the greatest to ever play in the NBA. Mount Rushmore, is he on there? Probably. I haven't thought about it. I can tell you Michael Jordan is on mine. Some people put Magic. Some people will put Bird. Some will put Wilt. Some will put Bill Russell. And some people might even put Oscar Robertson. I didn't see Oscar Robertson play, obviously. I didn't see Wilt play, obviously. I didn't see Bill Russell play, obviously. But I take out Bill Russell and I take out Wilt Chamberlain. And the reason I take them out is because they were playing in Converse sneakers, All Stars. So they were pretty much playing in their socks, and they were playing against bankers. They were playing. They were playing against regular bank dudes who like worked side job, and they were bankers at whatever bank was around back then. That's why I look at it. There was no competition for those guys. You know, they were taller than everybody, and they didn't have to do much. You know, that's just from the highlights that I've seen. You know, I don't really count the first big man really until Kareem came along, and I didn't really see Kareem play. I've seen highlights of him. I saw Kareem maybe toward the end, and when I say end, I mean it was, what was it, 89? Was that his last season? It was like 89 or 90, something like that. I believe it was 89. That's the Kareem I saw. You know, and I just got a glimpse of him. I didn't see him like I saw Jordan. So my Mount Rushmore probably would be a little different from everybody. And you know, when I take those guys off, Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, I don't know, LeBron might be on my Mount Rushmore. He might just be on it, but Michael Jordan definitely is on there. But I have no beef with what Chauncey Billups said. There's no need to say, oh, well, you know, Michael Jordan is the GOAT. You're seeing it now. Yeah, I agree. I'm glad kids are seeing it, you know, but I hope LeBron is watching. Do you think LeBron watched it? Do you think he watched the documentary? Let me know. I want to know if he watched the documentary. Oh, I would love to know if you watched it. But keeping it Michael Jordan, so to speak. So just moments before the last dance aired this past Sunday, Nike made sneakerheads lose their minds by releasing a pair of the retro Air Jordan 5s moments before the last dance debuted. So Nike dropped the Nike Air Jordan 5s in the fire red colorway, which retailed for $200, but it didn't last very long as it sold out before the show's opening credits. So if you missed out on the Air Jordan 5 sneaker that released, no need to worry because it will be available on the Nike platform on their website on May 2nd at 10 a.m. I have memories of the fire red Air Jordan 5s. I must say that shoe is my first Air Jordan shoe that I bought. Yes, I remember it so vividly. I was a junior in high school, and this is when I was working at I was 16 or 17, something like that, and I was working my little part-time job at Popeyes, and this was the first time they retroed. I believe this was, I want to say 1999. I don't think it was 2000 yet. It might have been 2000. I could be wrong. I believe it was 1999 when I was a junior. It was 98 or 99 when they first retro the fives, the fire reds. And I remember getting my check. And this is when Jordans released on, back in the day, they released on Tuesday. They didn't have the weekend releases. It's one of those things where I'm showing my age again. So there was no weekend release. They released on Tuesdays. And I got paid, we got paid on Fridays. And I remember I was just praying and hoping that when I go to the mall, they still had the shoe. I knew they were going to be gone. They were going to sell out. And I had at that time I wore a size 12. So that is a very popular big size. And I remember cashing my check that Friday and I walked to the mall. I walked to the West End Mall, and that walk might have been maybe like a 20-minute walk from where I worked to the mall. I couldn't wait on the public bus or get a ride. I had to get the shoes now, immediately. So I walked in. I don't remember the name of the store, but it wasn't Foot Locker or Foot Action or something like that. And there's a store in the front of the mall right when you walk in. I don't have to walk far. It was to my right. And I walk in and I asked, "Hey, do you have the new Air Jordan 5s?" And I asked if you have it in a size 12. And the guy goes, "You know what? We're sold out, but I think I got 112. Yeah, 112 left. That might be the last shoe." And he said, "I was holding it for somebody, but he's never come. So you're here. So let me go see if the shoe is still back there." He goes back, and I'm waiting. And what seemed like an eternity probably was only like a minute at best, if that, maybe. He comes out with the Air Jordan box. I'm so relieved. I'm so happy. And the shoes weren't 200 back then. I forgot what the price were. I know they weren't 200. But he said, "They're yours." And, he opened them up, showed them to me, and they were the pristine Air Jordan 5 Fire Reds. And I loved that shoe. It had the ice at the bottom. I remember when that shoe first released, when I was probably in first or second grade. It was something like that. And to get them now when, I'm 16, 17 years old, I'm a junior in high school and I'm working, and I felt so proud of myself because I had earned the shoe. It wasn't given to me. It was one of the first, big purchases that I had made in my life. And, me being a shoe head myself, I'm a big shoe head. I don't just collect Jordans and wear Jordans. Believe me when I tell you, I don't really respect sneakerheads that only wear or buy Jordans. You can't be a sneakerhead and that's the only sneaker that you're into. I just refuse to believe it. But that was my story on the Air Jordan 5 I was able to get when I was in high school. So, yeah. Uh, so before I go into the break, I wanted to touch. I wanted to keep an NBA. This is more on the somber side. The Kobe Bryant helicopter crash situation. So it's come out that the families of the victims in the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash, they have filed a wrongful death suit against the helicopter company. Members of the Altabelli and the Mauser families have filed a wrongful death suit against the helicopter company behind the January 26th uh, crash that also killed Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna. The suit claims that the helicopter company, Island Express, uh, they were negligent and they carelessly breached its duty to own, lease, manage, maintain, control, entrust, charter, and operate the helicopter in question in a reasonable manner. The crash claimed the lives of John Altabelli, Carrie Altabelli, and their daughter Alyssa, who played in the Mama Sports Academy with Gianna. The Altabelli family is survived by their remaining two children, Christina Mauser, who was a coach at the Mamba Academy, leaves behind her husband, son, and two daughters. Island Express is being accused of negligence by the remaining loved ones who are seeking damages caused by an insurmountable amount of anguish on every level: physical, emotional, mental, and otherwise. The company was already expected to go bankrupt as a result of the lawsuit filed by Vanessa Bryant a short time ago. My hearts and prayers go out to all of the families and uh, that lost loved ones in that helicopter crash. I can't imagine what they're going through and dealing with. I'm not going to pretend like I know. Um, I know that a lawsuit is not going to really make them feel any better. But I don't tell people how to feel, doing, uh, something like that when they're grieving like that. There's nothing we can ever say that's going to make those families feel any better about that situation. So my heart goes out to them, and my prayers are with them, and we'll see what happens with that lawsuit. So yeah, uh, trying to move on from just like talking about that COVID situation. That was just a bad situation all the way around. But we're gonna try and move on from that. I'm gonna take a break here. I'm gonna take a break. When I come back, we're gonna get into a little NASCAR. Is that right? NASCAR? NASCAR. All right. Look, you're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I'm gonna take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Catch you on the other side. Welcome back. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. Happy Friday to you. So, moving on, I teased a little bit about the NASCAR we're getting into. Not much NASCAR to speak of, but um, all I can say is that this guy was an idiot. That's all I can say. So, there was a NASCAR driver who was suspended and loses pretty much all of his sponsors for using the N word. Kyle Larson was fired about 2 weeks ago. He was fired by Chip Ganassi Racing completing a downfall for the NASCAR star who uttered a racial slur during a live stream virtual race and then watched as nearly every one of his sponsors dropped him. Kyle Larson went on to say, I made a mistake. I said the word that should never, ever be said. There's no excuse for that. I wasn't raised that way. It is just an awful thing to say. I feel very sorry for my family, my friends, my partners, the NASCAR community, and especially the African American community. All I have to say about that is he is an idiot. Now, look, people might say, what's wrong with you, Mike, when I say this? You are who you are, and you're going to say whatever it is that you want to say behind closed doors. I can't stop you from saying what you want to say behind closed doors. You know, that's how you feel, then, hey, it is what it is. But my thing is, I don't understand why there are people who are so obsessed with wanting to say the N word. I don't get it. Like, why? Why? It's like Joe. What is his name? Joe Exotic Tiger, the idiot on Netflix that people are going crazy for. You know, he wanted to know why he can't say the N word. Why? Look, if you know that you can't say it around black people, then why do you want to say it at all? Look, I don't want to turn this into a race thing, but I guarantee you, these are people who say this at home anyway, behind closed doors. Okay, I know they do. As the great Dave Chappelle said, as a man who says the N word quite a bit, I know he says the N word all the time. Trust me, that is not Kyle Larson's first time uttering that word. So that is a regular word in his vocabulary between him and his boys and whenever he's behind closed doors. But I still don't understand the obsession that some of those people, they just feel, I just gotta say it. I just have to. I have to say it. Got to. Today, right now. Why? Why? Like that meme. Why? 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 I love that meme. But anyway, though, Kyle Larson, I don't know if he'll race again. Maybe he will. I don't know. NASCAR is you know what? I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. Look, moving on. Moving on to some NFL talk. So the trade, the draft. The NFL draft was last night, and your boy from LSU, Joe Burrows, goes to Cincinnati, and he didn't look too pleased about it. Now, I'm not going to get much into it. I'm going to get more into the draft in my next podcast, which, you know, if I'm on time, hopefully will air tomorrow like it should be on Saturdays, every Wednesday and Saturday at least. But he went number one. Tua went to the Dolphins. I text my dad about that. He's a big Dolphins fan. I don't know how that's going to work out for them. I don't trust Tua. Again, I will get into that in the next podcast. But in other NFL news, Rob Gronkowski and his bromance with Tom Brady. So he unretired so the Patriots could trade him to Tampa. He's coming back. So the Patriots traded Rob Gronkowski for, they traded him in a 7th round draft pick to the Bucs for a 4th round draft pick. Now, I'm trying to not jump on that Tampa bandwagon, but I know what Tom Brady can do when you give him a security blanket like Rob Gronkowski. And he already has Mike Evans to throw to now. Tampa Bay is probably going to win the NFC South. It just is what it is. They got better just like that. You know, and I saw where Peyton Manning said he doesn't have any advice to give to he has no advice to give the Tom Brady Bucks win the Super Bowl. I somewhat agree. Me as a Falcon fan, it sucks. The Bucks are in win now mode. It's all or nothing. I'm telling you, they got to do it. They let Winston go, and you know how I feel about Jameis Winston. Okay, I think the kid can play. He's a gunslinger. He just has to cut down on his turnover. He's more of a modern day Brett Favre, in my opinion. Don't at me, whatever. Uh so are the Bucks going to trade for Bill Belichick? Are they going to trade for him too? Just bring the whole community of Boston down to Tampa Bay, as Tom Brady likes to call it now. Tampa. Still sucks. They're not gonna wear those creamsicle jerseys this year. I need the Bucks to do something about that. Well, I guess the NFL to do something about that more so than the Bucks. But you know, and Gronkowski, he also said it wasn't easy playing for Bill Belichick, but he respected him, and he knows football, and he learns everything he knows about football now. He learned from Belichick, and I can get where he's coming from. You know, it's no different from you know when you're in the workplace and you're working for a guy. He's stern but fair, but you kind of hate his guts at the same time. But you respect him, you know. So I get where he's coming from. I had a supervisor like that when I first got into the. I won't say when I first got into the workforce, but it was my second job. But but I won't say my second job. What job was that? It was one, two, might be my third or fourth job. I had a supervisor like that. He was stern. He was fair. He got on my nerves, but I respected him. So, shout out to you, Gronk, the Bucks. Why am I giving you guys a shout out? You guys playing in the NFC South with the Falcons. Rise up, I guess. All right, I'm going to keep this thing going. Let's go to some MLB talk real quick. The Boston Red Sox became the latest to get punished for their alleged sign stealing scandal that involved former manager Alex Cora. So their punishment is they lose a 2020 second round pick. They ban the operator JT Watkins through the 2020 playoffs and from doing the same job in 2021. So JT Watkins can not be a replay operator as he is banned pretty much for 2 years. They also have banned Alex Cora, the former manager, through the 2020 playoffs, but only for conduct with the Astros. Now, no players will be punished, and those that use the system were not identified. Now, the Boston Red Sox, they fired manager Alex Cora back in January after he was involved in multi-sign stealing controversies that dominated the headlines in the off season. Now, again, they're not going to punish any of the players. So, someone came up with the idea. I don't know if it was Stephen A. Smith I heard. Someone said to punish the teams that do it, you hold an emergency draft or a special draft where a team can draft one player from that team, and the team that's accused of doing the sign stealing or being punished, they have to bring their entire farm system up into the majors now. I like that idea. I would love to see that. That would be great. Oh man, could you imagine a team losing their best slugger? Yeah, he was drafted off by the Baltimore Orioles. They drafted him off, and we had to bring up the whole AAA farm team to compete in the majors. They weren't ready, and that's why we lost 157 games. Oh wow! So I was watching some old. Look, I'm a student of the game, any game that's basketball, football, baseball. So I was watching on YouTube the old '95 World Series with the Braves and the Indians, and this was a young Manny Ramirez. He got caught slipping at first base, and Javi Lopez was the catcher, and the NBC camera, zoomed in on him, giving the pitcher the sign, and he gave him one finger pointed toward first base, and he gave a fist pump, like really put it in here because I'm going the first with it. And the pitcher, the guy put it in there, and Javi picked him off at first. McGriff got him leaning, and I asked my brother. I said, hmm, would that have happened back then? I wonder. Would Greg Maddox allow sign stealing? I mean, I know you can't control it, you know. Look, let's be honest. All teams steal signs. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. You know, it's not like you can't go back and watch film and see the signs. You know, but in the spirit of the game, you can't know what's coming. You got to guess. So I get it. You got to learn his tendencies. You can't be hitting a empty trash can in the dugout when you know a slider is coming. You just can't. It's frowned upon. Okay? Can't do it. All right. I'm gonna close this thing up soon. So let's get to the news story of the midweek. What since this is Friday, should this be the news story of the end week? So anyway, though, the story so far is Lamar Jackson. He is now the new cover athlete for Madden 21. He was asked if he was worried about the Madden curse. Jackson said he's not worried because Patrick Mahomes was on it last year and just won the Super Bowl. And I have to agree. Pat Mahomes has broken the curse. There you go. I mean, what else can I say about that? Who was the one guy who was on that? Peyton Hillis? Do you guys remember that? When he was in Cleveland? Peyton, was that his name? Peyton Hillis. Cleveland Brown was on the cover of Madden. I don't know if you guys remember that. I remember it vividly. I think his name was Peyton Hillis. He was a running back. He was a running back or a fullback. He was one of them. I'm going to say he was the running back because the fullback's pretty much a dying breed in football. Most teams pretty much don't run with the fullback unless you go to your local high school team and they're running some wing crap, So. But Lamar Jackson, he's the cover guy, after winning the MVP. Did nothing in the playoffs. They ran into that bison, as my homeboy likes to call him, Derrick Henry. Yeah. So that's your guy. He's going to be on the cover of Madden this year. I'm pretty sure it will sell like it does every year. I, for one, will be one of them. One of the people buying the new Madden. I want to say shout out to my girl, too. She bought me a some type of special torch lighter, and she put it up away from the kids. I have to look at it. I have a Kentucky Fire Cured cigar here, and Swamp Rat is what's on it. I can't wait to smoke the cigar. I love cigars, by the way, and I want to give a shout out to my boy at my job, Gene, Mean Gene. A man hooked me up with some whiskey, Old Smoky Tennessee peach whiskey, and two of my boys, they told me to try it with some sweet tea, and I did like. I see what the sweet tea does with that. I liked it because normally when I drink whiskey, I like to have some cream soda with it. Now if I'm gonna just have a little shot, then I'll just drink a little shot by itself. But if I'm gonna have a glass, just a little bit. You know how you pour your whiskey, it ain't like you're filling it up with like it's a soda or whatever, but I like to have just a little drop of some cream soda in there. So it's pretty good. But I can't wait to have some of this whiskey this weekend with this Kentucky Fire Cured cigar. Yeah, you got any cigar suggestions? Hey, write them down in the comment section on YouTube and let me know. I am a cigar concierge. I am a. Did I say that right? I love cigars. But anyway, look, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for taking time to include my podcast into your day on this Friday. If you're listening to the restream of this podcast on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and like and comment on the podcast. New podcasts will air every Wednesday and Saturday, normally 2 times out of the week. This lately has kind of been how I feel when I'm going to put it up, and I'm trying to get out of that. But you can find me on Spotify, so please feel free to share the podcast on any of the social media outlets that you use. You've been listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. And remember, it's your world. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm out. Peace. Happy Friday.